There are moments in history that are alive with celebration. There are others that are alive quietly, folded inside a letter, sealed with ink, carried across continents, almost unnoticed. The first day of February 1966 was one of those moments. Far away in Rome, where the heart of the Catholic Church beats, a decision had been made. It was neither hurried nor accidental. It was the fruit of years of prayer, consultation, and careful discernment. For decades, missionaries had watched the church in Kigezi grow from fragile mission stations into thriving communities. Reports had been written, appeals had been made, hope had been patiently waited. Now, Rome had spoken. The decree traveled thousands of kilometers before reaching the hills of southwestern Uganda. It closed seas, it closed nations until at last it reached people who had no idea that their story was about to change forever. The message was simple, yet its meaning would echo through generations. Kabale was now a diocese. Perhaps today, those words sound ordinary. After all, Kabale Diocese has become a familiar name. But in 1966, those words carried the weight of answered prayers. For years, the Catholics of Kigezi had worshipped faithfully under the Diocese of Mbarara. Their churches had multiplied, schools had flourished, vocations had blossomed, and the faith planted by the early missionaries had sunk deep into the fertile soil of these hills. The child who had once watched a missionary celebrate Mass beneath a glass-thatched shelter had become a priest. The small Christian communities had become parishes. The mission territory had become a living church, and the child had grown. And like every child who eventually matures, the church in Kigezi was ready for its own home. The new diocese was carved from the Diocese of Mbarara. Its boundaries embraced the whole of Kigezi district, a district that with time would give birth to today's Kabale, Kisoro, Lukunjiri, Luchiga, Rubanda, and Kanungu. The lines on the map had changed, but this was never simply about maps. A diocese is not created because someone draws new boundaries. A diocese is born because people have grown, because faith has matured, because a community has become strong enough to carry its own mission into the future. And so on that remarkable day, Kabale took its first breath. Yet every newborn begins life with humble beginnings. Kabale Diocese was no different. If we were expecting hundreds of priests ready to fill every parish, history smiles gently and says, not quite. The newborn diocese had just 9 diocesan priests. 9. That was the entire diocesan clergy. Today, one might find more priests gathered for a diocesan retreat than existed in the whole diocese on the day it was born. Yet those 9 men never measured their mission by numbers. They measured it by faith. They were Father Nalisencio Kangakeizi, the first priest from Kigezi, Father Peter Lucas, Father Athanasius Kakulungu, Father Barnabas Harebimana, Father Vincent Kanyonza, Father Augustine Kanyonyozi, Father Pius Tibanyendera, Father Andrew Karemera, and Father Polycarp Kobusheshe. 9 names, 9 stories. 9 men entrusted with writing the first chapter of a diocese that would one day produce hundreds of priests and countless religious men and women. The diocese itself rested on only 11 parishes, just 11. Rushoroza, the mother parish, established in 1923, Nyakibala and Mutorere parishes both opened in 1929. Therefore, the Chitanga Parish, Machiro Parish, Rubanda Parish, Uchinda Parish, Nyakishenyi Parish, Nyarushanje Parish, Rwanyana Parish, and Chinanira Parish. Each parish was like a lamp placed upon a hill. Alone, each illuminated its own community. Together, they lit the entire region. Those 11 parishes became the heartbeat of the newborn diocese. Their bells called people to prayer, and their schools formed young minds, their clinics healed the sick, and their altars witnessed baptisms, weddings, funerals, and ordinations. They were not merely places on a map, they were homes. But even the strongest family needed someone to guide it. Rome had already chosen that shepherd, not from Kabale, not from Mbarara, but from neighboring Tanzania. Right Reverend Gervasio Nkalanga, then auxiliary bishop of Bukoba, was appointed apostolic administrator of the new diocese. To many, he was an unfamiliar face, yet history often reminds us that God sometimes sends strangers to prepare the way for sons and daughters who will follow. On the 17th of April 1966, he was installed. Kabale Diocese finally had its first shepherd. His work was immense. There were structures to establish, parishes strengthen, priests to encourage, a diocese to organize. And like a farmer planting trees whose shade he might never sit under, Bishop Nkalanga began building for the future. In just 3 years, he established 3 new parishes, Buhara, Rwengiri, and Nyamwegabira. He also began transferring St. Paul's Seminary from the grounds of St. Mary's College Rusholoza to its present home, quietly investing in generations of priests he would never personally ordain. He was building more than institutions, he was building tomorrow. But history has an interesting habit. Just when one chapter feels complete, it quietly opens another. After only 3 years, Bishop Gervasio Nkalanga was called back to Bukoba, Tanzania. His assignment in Kabale had come to an end. Some wondered what would happen next. Would the young diocese lose its momentum? Or had Providence already prepared someone else? The answer was already taking shape, not in Rome alone, but in the life of a humble priest from Kigezi, a priest whose name the people already knew among the 9, Father Barnabas Rubihwa Harimimana. His story was only beginning.
Uganda tena, aha, wewe